do, guys. Let's talk a little bit about the intel. I do have quite a bit, I think, to bring, so I'll try to capsulize this for us. I do know that HSBC wants this to go as soon as it possibly can. And let's start with, before we come back to the States, let's go over and do some international stuff, because this is a global event. You know that. And you know that, for example, let's start with Iraq. Iraq is basically moving through this very well. They've adapted. They have new rates. They've got their ATMs spitting out new lower denominations now for, I'm going to say, for about 2 weeks now, if I remember right. It's been a while. They've paid everybody at new rates. They have their new key cards out that have biometric, features to them for security. There's a lot to the new system, and there are new rates that are showing up on the cards. And in some cases, the rates actually disappeared, and all that you're seeing is the actual account balance. But I can tell you from some personal experience that the accounts are hydrated for the people, and they're able to spend the money. They went up in their daily amounts 100-fold a few days ago, and that's a very positive thing for Iraq. Now, I did get word that the digital version of the Gazette was being worked on and put that out, and I believe they started the actual physical printing of the Gazette somewhere in the 6:15 p.m. range Eastern time tonight. It should be printed and out somewhere in the 7:30 a.m. Baghdad time tomorrow. Let's call it 7:30 in the morning, and that would be about 12:30 Eastern time tonight. So things are moving, things are happening. We do expect, and we do know actually by our contacts in Iraq, that the complete new budget is in the Gazette and is being put in there and printed now. I think also with that new budget, we should have new rates seen. So hopefully those are visible in the Gazette as well. And it all comes out tomorrow morning. Let's go over to China for a minute. The new BRICS get-together of the BRICS countries started this financial conference. I don't know where in China it is. I'm sorry, I don't know what city it's in. But it started yesterday, and I believe it's scheduled to go 3 days, and it would end tomorrow. And what is interesting about that conference is that, guess who the newest addition to the BRICS countries is? No, I know you're thinking Iraq, but the answer is Egypt. Egypt is the latest member to be added to the BRICS. So instead of BRICS, maybe we can call it BRICSy with Egypt on the end. BRICSy. All right. I wasn't the first person, I'm sure, to think of that. But that's a nice addition. Egypt is added to it. So that's very positive. I think what's really cool is that we are hearing that this GCR that's already basically taken place. We don't even use the term GCR that much because we know that exchanges, payments are being made all over the globe and have been for a few days now. But we know that now, as of, I'm going to call it 3:30 in the morning Eastern time this morning, they're beginning to pay out, as of that time this morning, they were beginning to pay out the fines and penalties which they wrapped up about 200,000 of those and got those out first. Then they're working on some of the other SKRs to liquidate those, make those hydrated, and then they're going through and paying out the remaining individuals. Now, they're running at a rate of approximately 50,000 every 2 to 4 hours since this morning, early. About 50,000 or so, and that's global, not just here in the U.S., that's around the world. So they're really paying out quite handily now, and this is expected to go, as of this morning early, let's call it 3:30 Eastern, as of that time, it's expected to go 24 to 36 hours for them to have all of those completed. And there's quite a large number of those that are supposed to be completed. We understand that tiers 1, 2, 3, 4 have been audited successfully. We understand that let's just say China and the Chinese elders are in charge and taking control of the situation out west, and things are moving through quite nicely at, I'm going to call it, working like clockwork. And I believe that we are looking at getting our Tier 4 started pretty soon. I couldn't tell you exactly that we are completely ready to go, but I know that we are just about there. We're just about there. In fact, there was some chatter earlier that made it look like we might even get the toll-free numbers by the time the call was to start tonight. Now, number one, that did not happen yet. I don't have them yet. I expect to get them possibly tonight, possibly in the morning, possibly tomorrow, sometime. Can't say. I'm not trying to call it. I'm just saying that I do expect that is the plan. Okay? And I'm ready to receive them and put them out as indicated. Okay? As I'm instructed. I'll do that. Now, sometimes people put out online, guys, that I have the numbers, or I have this packet, or I have this, and I'm holding it, and whatever. No, I'm not going to do that. I wouldn't do that. You know me better than that. Believe me, when I have it within 5 or 10 minutes, it'll be out. It'll be viral pretty darn quickly. Okay? So realize that there's no way Bruce has the numbers already and is holding them. If I had them, they would be out. So just realize that. Now, I do want you to check the bigcall.net website from time to time because, I do expect to put them out there first, provided I'm allowed to, and I believe I will be allowed to do that. And then I'll put it a couple of other places online. Okay? And I'm not going to tell you where. You'll know. You'll find it. Believe me, people will see it. People will see it on the website, and then all it's going to take is half a dozen people to go to the website and bring it, and then it'll be viral after that. Okay? So just keep that in mind. So things are moving through very nicely. Now let's talk about what happened down in Texas and Louisiana as far as the redemption centers. There were some new redemption centers that needed to be put into the mix as a result of Hurricane Harvey with the flooding. Okay, we had to put 12 new redemption centers in Texas and 9 new ones in Louisiana. And at the last communication, we heard that there's still, let's call it 4 or 5 in each state that need to call in or radio in or communicate that they are ready to go. And I understand it's not a matter of personnel. All the redemption centers are fully staffed. and they're all on lockdown, meaning they're all set and ready to go. The only thing we're waiting for in a few redemption centers, like I said, down in Texas and Louisiana, is the finalizing of their communications. Well, stuff like fiber optic and satellite. Okay? That's it. Now, do we have to wait for the remaining SKRs and some of those individuals to be paid globally, like what started this morning at 3:30, before I get notified and before we're ready to set our appointments? I don't think so. I think these are two parallel timelines. I believe that from what I can tell and from what I've heard, the timeline for paying out the liquidity for SKR holders and other individuals is happening now and will continue to happen until they're done. I do believe our timeline is more dependent upon the last of the new redemption centers coming up to speed with their communications, and then we may be able to get started. Okay? So I'm going to say we could get notified at any time from now on. I think we're that close. I know that any of the last meetings that are being held around the country are launch meetings, and they're trying to just finalize last-minute details to get ready to launch. Okay? So I'm excited about it. I'm excited. I know that Zim rates have crept up slightly. The screen rates are very, very high, and you won't have any trouble getting a decent rate on the Zim. You can negotiate it privately if you choose, which I've mentioned for months and months now, as well as you can negotiate your dinar and dong rates up and your rial rate slightly higher above what the screens are showing, provided you have projects that will support those rates. They're going to want to know what it is you intend to do with all of this money. And how are you going to benefit how are you going to benefit humankind? You're going to benefit them with projects like what we're planning to do with the big call, which is the Veterans Retreat Network. We're going to be working with the Rebuild America program. We're going to be working with various ministries. We're also going to be doing, one thing we're going to do with our veterans that I haven't talked much about is Streets to Retreat. To take the veterans that are on the streets, keep them from committing suicide, and trying to help them get into housing, get them into a little meaningful job situation, try to help them with their health needs locally where they are off the street, and save Build America program. I believe we're going to be hiring